Are you seeing me? Are you sure you seeing me? Are you seeing me? So 5 things that I started to look into when my awakening occurred. Now, my awakening occurred, I would say, around 2012, 2013, but I didn't quite know. I just knew that for whatever reason, I was being pushed to start to research certain things, certain ideas, certain thoughts that started to come into my head, and it was like, oh, yo, go and look at these things up. So I'm gonna give you 5 things that occurred to me, things I started looking into that propelled me into my spiritual awakening. Number 1 was the whole food system and how we eat, what we eat, and your body mechanics, the biology of the body. We are very much a chemical-based organism. This avatar, this 3D body is pretty much a smorgasbord of chemicals, physical muscle tissue, and electricity all fused in one. I'm sure I'm missing something else, but just to say that your body is basically a chemical circuit. So food is processed, is digested and processed and turned into a chemical food for the body. So I started to look into basically what certain foods would do to the body. I had an issue going on. At the time, I was really drinking hard. Like, I just came from college. I had just graduated college. During college, you already know you already know during college, drinking, all the weekends you drinking, sometimes even during the week, heavy drinking, partying, beer pong, all the college game, flip cup, all that shit, you already know. And my liver was really already kind of like, yo, you need to take a break and chill. So, and also when you're drinking heavy, Black and Mild, especially back in then, for me, Black and Mild was the shit. Like, that shit used to hold me down. Like, Black and Mild, after you got lit, and then the Black and Mild just took you down, you know what I'm saying? So nonetheless, that really damaged the liver, and that really put a lot of phlegm and mucus in my chest. So one of the things when I had my spiritual awakening was like, I started getting all these downloads. It was like, you need to go and basically heal your body. You need to look up herbs and so on and so forth to kind of get your situation right. And then that's when, back in like 2013, I bumped into Dr. Sebi. Then I also bump into the concept of having an alkaline body and what elements, perpetuate alkaline, what elements of food perpetuate an alkaline body, and started to understand how the food, basically, you are what you eat, like, and also on an energetic tip, you are what you eat. And that's when I started to change my food habit, but I don't want to spend too much on that. I'll elaborate that in sometime later. But the second thing that happened was I started to research the money system. And that's when that shit really hit home, and I understand, like, yo, what this matrix is about. Like, it was crazy. Like, it just hit me. I was like, where did money come from? Like what is money? Then I bump into the whole concept of fiat currency, like a currency that's not even real. Like back then, way back in the ancient times, they used to use, jewels and tangible resources that were tangible. You know what I mean? Like, that were useful, like gold in the earth and this matrix. Huge connection between that, but back in ancient times, they used to use gold as a form of currency. And even up until like the 60s here, the US dollar was backed by a gold standard, which, gold is limited. So therefore, it kind of controls the economy. And obviously, as more people mine for gold and more gold comes into the system, the economy naturally grows. But it was back in the 60s or early 70s when Nixon took the US dollar off the gold standard, and that basically flipped the whole script. So like I said, I got a download to go and understand the money system, and that's when I bump into like some of the elite families like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and you name them, and I started to look back into the history of that, and then I started to break down the Federal Reserve and understanding what the Federal Reserve was, what they are. Come to find out, they're not even really federal because they're not even really part of the governmental system. They're an individual system, an individual entity that even the government can't audit. So it was crazy. That came into that, and then that went into the whole fake money and the money crashes and the cycles and so on and so forth. Like right now, we finna to go into another. They try to crash the dollar. That's my opinion. That's downloads I've received. They finna to crash the dollar. The dollar is burnt. You already know inflation starting to come. You already know there's going to be a food shortage. It's crazy. But anyway, I'm going to stick to the topic. That was the second thing that I basically started to research when I had that great awakening and my third eye started to really open. So the third thing was a little bit more about energy in general, understanding energy and what it is to the universe and earth, and things like sun gazing and understanding the chemistry of sun gazing and what this body is. Like at the end of the day, we're all energy. Everything is energy. Everything. And we are energy in a condensed form. As you go up higher in vibration, your energy vibrates higher and you become less physical. So like I said, I started to delve in, understand the metaphysics of energy, and that everything is energy, everything is frequency. So the fourth thing I would say was, so we got the money, we got the food, we got the money system, was the water system. And that kind of coincides with the food a little bit, but I'm also going to throw that in there. It was a water system. I understand that like most of the top five industrialized nations, America, Europe, and some other countries, they put fluoride in the water, which also, like I said, deals with the pineal gland. And that's the fourth, the pineal gland, the water, the fluoride and water, and the pineal gland. That's my fourth thing that I started to look up into, and to kind of understand that they purposely put this chemical that's not needed. If you look it up, it's not needed for the water system. They purposely put that in there to calcify your pineal gland, which is essentially what you refer to as your first eye or your third eye. And what that does is give you insight to higher knowledge and wisdom and higher frequency, and you're able to tap in. You're able to understand your intuitions a lot better, and go on that. You get visions and so on and so forth. You start to awaken a lot of the sleeping DNA that's in you. So that's why I started to really look into that and understand, like, hey, you know what? They're really trying to hold the humanity back and not have us in an awakened state. And so I'm gonna go to the fifth thing. The fifth thing would be, so like I said, the first thing was the food situation. Second thing was a money situation. Third thing was the energy situation. Fourth thing was the fluoride and the pineal gland thing. So for the fifth thing, what would I say the fifth thing is? The fifth thing definitely is to understand that we are not the only ones that God created, and to be as so arrogant to think that the Almighty God, Mother Earth, God, I like to refer to God as God Father, God Mother, God Universe, because in essence, God does not have a actual gender, even though we refer to God as a he typically. But God, the real God that is all loving, all everything, is we are God. God is in the damn steps. God is in the damn air, water. Everything is God. And God being all powerful, he didn't only create us humans. That would be stupid, preposterous to think that he only created humans. So that's when I started to come around by synchronicities, people like Zecharia Sitchin, and research the Anunnaki and all different type of possible alien races that they're here, and their influences on Earth, which is heavy. When you go back and look into history, that's another thing. I'm limited to 5, but I can probably keep on going on, because history was another big thing that for whatever reason I got a lot of downloads, and I went back in history, and that explains a lot. It's crazy out there. But anyway, I wanted to go over the 5 things that when I had my awakening, that I started to have downloads about, that I started to have questions about that never came in. Like another random thing, like why we never went to Antarctica. You ever thought about that? Why we never went to Antarctica? Ain't that crazy? You know why? Go look it up. And there's actually only 1 or 2 actual locations because you know Antarctica is like kind of like an ocean. I mean, it's an island, so it's surrounded by real icy ocean. So, and it's also dead cold out there. So there's docking stations at certain points in Antarctica, and there's only like a few of them. So one of the few of them is actually owned by who? One of the elites who control the money system, and it starts with the R, and I'm not talking about Rockefeller, you dig? But anyway, that's another random thing. But yeah, I just wanted to go over 5 different things, and when I got my awakening, that initially started to come into my head, and I used to research or whatever, and and you know what, another thing is, like, you never stop learning. That's another thing about understanding what wisdom and knowledge is. So, but anyway, hopefully you guys heard me. Please like and subscribe. Green Sage 9 out.